Hello, Fabulous Taurus. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of August 2016, Love Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This month, in the context of love, we've got some very powerful things happening in the sky, and this is especially true for you. Two things. It is Mercury and it is Venus, and this is speaking right to the heart of you. So let's take it one at a time. This month, Mercury will, right around the 10th of the month, depending on where you are on the planet, will enter shadow. And before the month is over, at the very end of the month, will enter retro. And it is going to be Mercury that retros in a part of the sky for you that has to do with romance. It has to do with what the heart wants. It has to do with the feelings that love provides. It has to do with the joy that love can bring. Mercury will retrograde in this part of the sky. So this is important. That's the symbol, and I'll interpret it in just a moment. But let me also say what's also happening this month that's important is that Venus, moving through the same part of the sky, will speak in supreme harmony with Pluto. Now, Venus only has this kind of conversation with Pluto normally about twice a year. And it does represent a time when love is solidified, trust is solidified, intimacy is solidified, and it is matters of heart that can provide truly transformative moments. So both of these things are happening at the same time, and I find this especially interesting for a few reasons. One is Mercury. When Mercury retros in this part of the sky, really nothing is really as it seems where it comes to what the heart wants, okay? So there's a few different ways that this can play out. If you're open to meeting someone new, you could very well meet somebody with Mercury moving through this part of the sky. Mercury will be particularly strong in this particular part of the sky, and this does suggest to me that it's very possible a connection could be made, a mind-based connection, an online connection, a connection that's based more on words being exchanged, okay? That is possible here when you look at it from the mercurial perspective, okay? But the thing is especially when Mercury's retrograde, you don't always realize what it is, okay? You understand more in the fullness of time. Things aren't always as they seem. And when you meet somebody new, it could appear one way and it's actually another way. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be bad. It might not be bad at all. It might be pretty amazing in the fullness of time. It might just make you chuckle. It might just make you laugh. But it does happen, and I actually did a video about this, a FAQ video a while back, about meeting someone new and dating with a Mercury retrograde. So you've got Mercury retro in this part of the sky, and what this suggests is if you're open to meeting someone new, again, you could meet somebody, might not be who you think, how you think it is. If you're in an established bond, what I find happens when Mercury retros in this part of the sky, and this is really going to speak to you, okay? This is also going to speak to the Pisces out there as well, and I'll cover that for their video, of course. It'll be a little bit different for them. But what's important to remember here is that you change your mind. Things look different in retrospect after the retrograde is over. And it can happen if people break up every day, right? People meet new people every day. But if you're in an established bond and you break up with somebody during a Mercury retrograde, chances are it's not going to stay broken up. Chances are it won't be that's it, you're not going to see this person again. Chances are that this is going to be a person who's going to come around again in some way or another for you to better understand what took place. And it is possible people do sort of break up over communication issues, over misunderstandings. That can happen. So it's important to the best of your ability, if you're in an established bond, to give, or at least dating somebody, right? Especially if you're just dating somebody, to give that person as much of the benefit of doubt as possible. But what is also really interesting is because we've got Venus there speaking in supreme harmony with Pluto, this speaks very strongly for love, whether it's love that shows up now, whether it is the love that you have. Ultimately, Pluto is about the truth, like capital letters, starting with capital letters, the truth, right? Pluto is about knowing the nitty-gritties, knowing the dark side and being at peace with it. knowing that things sometimes are not always ideal, but being okay with it. Knowing the depth of anything is what Pluto is about. And when Venus comes along, and Venus in the same part of the sky, speaking with Pluto, it does say that your eyes are wide open. You know, there's no like illusions here or delusions here. You know, interestingly, as Venus is moving through this part of the sky, will also stand across Neptune. Again, that may be a little bit of not really knowing what's true or what's not, but ultimately knowing it, ultimately knowing what is true. So as I look at this sky, and then Mercury's going to be, you know, in that same area of the sky as well, as I look at this, the chance for mix-ups, for confusions are very possible. The chance of thinking things are one way and they end up being something very different are possible, but also the chance of knowing what's real, like even if it's eventually, even if it's on the other side, knowing what's true and knowing what's real is also very likely with a sky like this. So if you're open to meeting someone new with a sky like this, you could make a very powerful connection. As I said, a transformative connection. And it's not always what you think, right? A lot of times what the transformative connection is that you see yourself differently. And that helps you to think about who you are versus who it is that you think of yourself as being or desire to be. And where there may be a gap, doing the work to close that gap. Sometimes that is the transformative moment. Transformative moments ultimately give us another truth, another perspective. And that's what love is offering now. A chance to look at our own disappointments of the past, look at the way that our own fears or our own sort of beliefs may color how we view love or the actions of other people, and ultimately getting to the core of things, getting to the truth of things, so you can decide if this is a love that's worth continuing, a love that's worth pursuing, and a love that truly is strong or not. And that's the big promise this month, right? And that's the big possibility this month as well. As much as we're setting the stage for this Mercury retrograde, and it's going to be really dominant next month in particular, so it's by no means over now. As much as we're setting the stage for this Mercury retrograde and the chance of back and forth and uncertainty, at the same time, there is certainty. There is seeing where uncertainty is based on confusion and disappointment and fantasy, and where it is that something deep within us knows the truth, and something deep within us knows if something's working or not, knows if something is worth waiting for, being patient with or not, and knows also what it is that we deserve. And the great thing is, with a sky like this, you really are learning that you deserve love. And you deserve a love that is strong and that is true. And with that affirmation and with that deep conviction, the universe can't help but bring it to you.